Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trinity Competitive Racing. We have returned for the Big 2-0 after long wait. Season 20 is here on F125, and we're ready to get things going. I'm getting hyped up with this definitely copyrighted music that I'm playing right here. It's actually the Project Cars theme song, but I like it. It definitely fits the mood as we are here for preseason testing at Hungary, the first of two preseason testing events that we will have this season. And on track right now are 9 of the drivers that we will see in Season 20, and we will get into all of that today, because that is what today is for, is going over what to expect from Season 20 in Trinity Competitive Racing. My name is Camden Luca, back in the booth for the second season in a row as the voice of TCR. Not my second season as a whole. I did commentate the Platinum class back when it was the Platinum class, but today we are here for practice in Hungary. We will be doing a 60-minute practice session. As you can see, we're already down to 53 minutes, so time is a-ticking, but we do have a good chunk of the drivers that will be participating in Season 20 tonight, and then next week, don't go anywhere because we will have a preseason race where you will see these guys in action on the track, replicating what they're going to do this season, going for the trophies and the points, and for one lucky person, a championship, as Chargers is really finding the limit of the track here today. As I do want to bring up Chargers. That is one of many former drivers who did not race in Season 19 that have come back for Season 20 after being on a multi-season absence. So Chargers, former TCR champion, by the way, is back, and he will be rocking the Mercedes this season. And I think that's going to be a very interesting look. Maybe a good wild card pick. I mean, he is a champion in the past, so I don't know if you would classify him as a wild card, but just from the fact that he hasn't been here in a little bit, I think you absolutely have to label him as a wild card. But the guy ahead of him right here, top of the board, and once again, another returning driver who was not here in Season 19. This season's going to be good. This game has gotten a lot of praise. F125 really good compared to the last couple of games, so I think we're in for a good one. As HVAC Toaster, another guy who is back, and HVAC Toaster, he had maybe the craziest, one of the craziest wins in TCR history. A few seasons ago, the safety car decided it wanted to go racing at Saudi Arabia, came out on track. It was a whole chaotic thing, and HVAC Toaster ended up winning that race. So, but he is back, and he is full-time in that pink and blue Alpine. I love that paint scheme. Hopefully we'll be seeing that at the front this season. And if this is your first time looking at an F125 broadcast, welcome. It's pretty much the same layout. Some of the interface is a little bit different when it comes to just the text, and at the bottom you see that the icons there with the gears and the speed is a little bit different. It looks a little bit different, but nonetheless, pretty much the same old when it comes to what we're going to see. And don't worry, you guys are going to see a lot of gimmicks and sound effects from the booth. Don't worry about that. So practice today, what these guys can do is they can try different tires, try different setups, do different strategies. This is really to get people familiar with the game, because the game's only been out for like a month, you know. For someone like me who's retired, you know, I don't really use the steering wheel much anymore, unless if it's at the go-kart track. I've done about 10 hours on this game, so if I were racing, I would be using this to get the rust off, and I'm sure there's going to be some people getting the rust off here today. But yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, and I do want to mention another driver, and actually a team of drivers who are making comebacks as well. Bats Plus, another former champion, is back this season, and he's in that Red Bull with Seafreeze, who is making a full-time return after having a stint as a reserve the last couple of seasons. He is streaming, by the way. If you want to go take a look at his perspective right now, you can go and do that. And I know Seafreeze, he's put in probably more time at the beginning of this game than the last couple of games. So he's been putting in some laps, and he could definitely be a regular contender for points this season. I think you could definitely look at him for that. And, you know, you may be saying, well, yeah, Camden, there's only 9 people here. We have basically a full grid for round 1, which will be in 2 weeks on July 22nd at Belgium. Round 1 at Belgium, that is like icing on the cake. You guys are going to really need to check that out. Round 1, we usually get the most people that week, so we could get maybe 20 people for Belgium to start off the season. And from the grid, just looking at the grid, and there's some notables that we'll talk about that aren't here tonight. It's going to be good. It's going to be competitive. I think you're going to get more people winning races than what we had last season. It was pretty much the B-Tom and J&B show with a feature from GTR Lion in Saudi Arabia. It was competitive at times, but I think this is going to be a lot more competitive. And you see Seafreeze is invalid, but this is what practice is for. And, you know, some people may not find practice interesting, but I think it actually, for someone like me who's going to be commentating the whole season, it is definitely something to look for, because you kind of get to look at where people's pace is at, but really you kind of get to look at the battery usage, strategy. If I were these guys, I would be watching this right now as they're racing. Have the TV or the monitor on in front of you, then have your phone on to the side, and, you know, check out the broadcast, see what people are doing. But like I said, this is one of 2 preseason events. Next week, you guys get a race, and that track will be voted on this week. So you guys will find out before Tuesday of next week. You'll find out at some point. We'll post it on socials probably as to what track it'll be. And that will be a full-on preseason race. So, and it will be the real deal. Oh, Capitan and J and B may be joining us here. We'll talk about them in a second. But, yeah. Preseason, we're definitely ramping things up for round 1 this season. We're getting the hype up to preseason events, and I think it's a good thing. You know, excluding the hype, I think it's a good thing to kind of build things up, get to know who's racing and who's not, and then see from there as to what the championship's going to be like, what the game's going to be like. This game is really good. I think this is the most impressed I've been with a game since at least F1 22. It's great. But we will talk about JMB and Capitan in a second, because I believe they will be joining us here for some practice. They will be sporting the McLaren this season, actually. And that could be a strong lineup for the constructors. Because we saw Capitan, he joined midway through last season, and there he is, actually. Ooh, I don't know if I like that icon when people join. It's not as obvious. I don't know if you guys saw the text at the bottom. It's more of a gray text, and it's kind of, it looks like it aligns right in with, and there's BCOM as well. Yeah, you can't, that's not as easy to see, I feel like. The text is a little bit grayed out. That's interesting, but nonetheless, we now have 11 people in the session, and you get to know some of the other characters, and if we're going to talk about B-Tom, we're going to talk about Capitan. Well, we already did talk about Capitan, but we'll talk more. We still have some guys to talk about, and what that will do, actually, is that will lead us up to second place, GTR Lion, who's hiding in the garage right now. Lion got a win last season at Saudi Arabia. finished up there, top 3 in the points. I think he's going to be someone to watch, as always, but the thing with Lion is that he is one of the most consistent guys. Definitely. One of the most consistent guys out there. As Seafreeze is doing some donuts for us. You did not win practice, Seafreeze. As a matter of fact, nobody wins practice. No interviews today, so... but yeah, no, Lion is going to be, he's going to be a contender, and I think he and B-Tom could go for yet another Constructors Championship, and if Lion wins Constructors again, I think that'll be his 4th, which is pretty impressive. And at that point, you're talking getting close to Seafreeze with 7 Constructors Championships that he has. And who knows, Seafreeze could maybe add an 8th at some point down the road. But I think Lion will be a consistent contender, contend for wins, be up there at the front. This guy, though, this guy, going for number 8. Championship number 8, but the question is, though, brand new game, got some new drivers this season, and a couple of drivers that maybe we'll save that for next week. There's a couple of brand new drivers to TCR that I think could be up there contending for wins on a regular basis. So maybe we'll get to them during the preseason race next week. But yeah, B-Tom, he's going to be up there. He's going to be winning races. He's going for win number 50, so he could do that in week 1, actually, at Belgium. And here he goes. He's going to go out for a lap. Oh, well, there he goes, actually. He has left the session. We'll get him back in here in just a second. And this is what preseason is for. So I don't want to hear any complaints tonight. This is we didn't get any preseason last year, so he might have had an internet outage. I don't see him at all. And that's what preseason is for, and I'm glad that we're doing at least one of these this season, because it really, it gets us through the weeds, you know? It kind of weeds out all of these kind of issues. I have noticed some issues with people popping up on my menu, which is a bit concerning, but maybe we could figure that out before July 22nd. But yeah, it's going to be a good season. I don't know if you guys have noticed on the YouTube, and there's B-Tom. I don't know if you guys have noticed on the YouTube side of things, but we do have a brand new thumbnail format, and you will see the rest of the thumbnails get back up tonight. We're freshening things up for F125. A brand new, bold, black and gold thumbnail for the YouTube. And you can see the one that we have tonight if you look at the YouTube side of things. JMB, I think I got you an invite here. Yeah, that's definitely you. So, yeah, there you go. Should be getting one. JMB is loading in, so we're seeing most of a good portion of the roster here, because as of now, technically we do have 19 full-time drivers. Adding reserves, we have more than 20, but we, in a second, will have 12 of the 19 as Chargers is going dirt track racing in the final corner. That is turn number 14. And yeah, you guys are seeing a lot of the heavy hitters here tonight. I don't think I've talked about this guy yet, but Wales, brand new driver to the circuit. Oh, man. Yeah, well, Lion has left the session. We'll definitely work this out. And what I will say on my end, you know, I think everyone's had issues with internet in the past, or not internet, but connection in the past with these games, but you guys have to understand, okay? I just moved out. I tested my internet this past week. I've got over 800 megabytes of download. So it ain't me. That's all I'm gonna say. But back to what I was saying before, we do have a new driver, Wales. Brand new driver, did some preseason testing with me, and I like the time that he put up there. He might have put that up on the softs. Did he? Yeah, he put that on the softs. But hey, Seafreeze has said this in the past. You never know who's going to win because you always get those new guys who show up and then you don't know what they're going to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what guys like Wales can do. And another returning driver, he did race in season 19 a little bit, as he's got a Red Bull hot on his tail right here, is TJ, back in that Aston Martin for a second season in a row. And he is a full-time driver. We'll see if he races more this season as he's getting overtaken here. Maybe we'll see a bit of racing from these guys here in this practice session. There is a one-shot and a race after this. I don't think we'll really get into that much, because the thing that I wish you could do is whenever you make a 25% race or shorter, the practice session gets reduced. So we had to make a full race for after this session because we wanted a 60-minute session, right? So, but the practice is the base of what we're doing. You know, that's kind of irrelevant. But we'll see if these guys race each other, and we'll see who puts up what for laps. Look at TJ. He's already got 11 laps out on track. He is cooking, getting the rust off, and there is JMB in the lobby. We got to talk about JMB because he had a standout season in season 19, won a handful of races, finished runner-up in the championship, and I'm excited to see JMB back for this season, to see his pace, and he can go toe-to-toe with anybody, so it'll be fun watching him in different colors this season, in the orange McLaren colors. And what I got to say, too, is, you know, we got a preseason event today, we got a preseason event next week, but we will have a podcast coming up soon. And I don't want to give it away, but we're going to talk about season 20. We have to talk about season 20, but we're also going to talk about the Hall of Fame. And we may be bringing an OG back onto the podcast with us when we do it, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to look at B-Tom, and he's sporting the Lewis Hamilton colors here. I like it. A 7-time champion going to red in 2025 with that helmet. That is like, that is as close to Lewis Hamilton as you can get for B-Tom. And we'll see what kind of a lap he puts up here. He's not wasting time. He's got the softs on. He's going for it. And let's see what he can do. He didn't really use the battery, but let's just see what he's got. And yeah, I think once he actually deploys some battery here, he will definitely get faster than that. But man, that's going to be cool to see B-Tom in those colors. Has B-Tom ever been a Ferrari? B-Tom, if you watch back, or if anyone else is watching, I would love to know. Because I can't remember B-Tom being in a Ferrari. I've seen him in a McLaren, I've seen him in a Mercedes, I've seen him in a Red Bull. I don't know if I've seen him in a Ferrari, so this could be another check mark for B-Tom on the bucket list. He's getting all of the Avengers, right? Some guy finishes his lap a 120.1, and some guy in the Mercedes alongside Chargers. You know, that could be a sneakily good lineup for this season. Could be a contender there for definitely, I would say, the top 5 in constructors. I would be surprised if they don't, to be honest. Maybe 6th or 7th if they don't have a great season, but this Mercedes lineup is solid, and you can see it right now that they've got some good lap times, and I think they're going to be good. But if you are watching on either the YouTube or Twitch side of things, feel free to give a comment, give a hello. I don't bite, unless if it's Tuesday. And across the line, Seafreeze. You know, Seafreeze, I've noticed he's been progressively getting better on his laps. And I actually want to take a look at people's best laps, because this really gives an idea as to where people are at. And we may just keep it on there for now, because that gives a good idea as to where people are at. However, Capitan just went up to P3, and he did do it on the hards. And like I said earlier, Capitan, he did some damage at the end of last season when he joined the second half of season 19, so he'll be up there. He'll be getting podiums. He'll be on there, for sure. And he and JMB, depending on their pace, they could be right up there for constructors. I know you got Lion and B-Tom returning together, but hey, it's never over until the fat lady sings, and luckily for the competition, the fat lady does not sing until round 12. Round 12 is... Where is round 12 this season, actually? Is it Coda? I love the fact that we got Coda back on the schedule. I'm not going to lie, I was a little... it left a bad taste in my mouth when we didn't have Coda on the schedule last season. That didn't feel like TCR, you know? It is Coda, October 21st. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen, there are obviously some people that are not on the grid this season, and I'm sad to report that Sir Charles has been fired by Toto. So Toto has had enough of Sir Charles, and if Sir Charles rejoins us in the future, maybe it won't be for Mercedes, but HVAC Toaster getting the most of his car right there. Damage is off for the session, by the way, and I think that's a good thing because, yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but well, the line is roaring right now. First one in the 118s, 118.894, and that is a good half second ahead of everybody else. That is a sporty lap time there by the Lion, the king of the jungle, as I like to call him. And I think this is a good segue into talking about the schedule, because we got some good races to talk about, for sure. The first one I mentioned was Belgium, July 22nd, to start off the season. I don't know how we haven't done that recently. That just seems like a really good track to do it at. Mystery race, round 3 this season. Usually round 4 in the past, we're getting it out of the way pretty quickly. And there will be a driver's meeting that race, so you guys better show up and you guys better be attentive. You don't want to be sleeping on the driver's meeting. Some notable tracks real quick, just some basic races. We got Japan, Australia, Bahrain, Miami's coming back for the first time in a couple seasons. But we got a handful of special events this season, okay? New to F125 and new to TCR will be a reverse race. And get this, okay? We're going to make it a sprint as well. Round 6, Britain Sprint reverse race. And if you guys want to go see the schedule for its entirety, you can go on our socials. The schedule is on there. Or if you're in our Discord, it's in there too. Whoa! But yeah, Britain Sprint reverse race. That is going to be a must-watch, as B-Tom just eclipsed his teammate there by about the hair of his chinny chin chin. Also, we will have the TCR Grand Prix returning to Austria for, I believe, the 12th annual event. And that will be when Hall of Fame inductions happen. We're bringing back the Hall of Fame for the first time in a couple seasons. We will have new Hall of Fame members being inducted. JMB is trying to see what he can do here, testing the limits. And JMB, I'm telling you, he is not afraid to get aggressive. And quite frankly, that's not a bad thing. Some guy, wow. Okay, oh, wow. Talk about making a statement there on the mediums, half a second pretty much ahead of B-Tom. That, sir, is a great lap. And you know what that deserves, some guy? That deserves the first helicopter shot of the season. And I love the cameraman here at Hungary. He always stays on the driver, you know? You don't ever see him dart away from... Okay. A couple of more notable things from the schedule. We got a second sprint race at Brazil, round 10, okay? Actually, the last 4 races of the season, get this. TCR Grand Prix round 9. Brazil Sprint Race round 10. Canada 3-tire special round 11. And COTA to finish off the schedule. That is chef's kiss when it comes to the last 4 races of the season. I think I don't miss anything, but... Oh, and we do... Oh, and there goes some guy. We will have an all-star race. As of now, I'm saying that as of now because we haven't had one in at least 5 seasons, I think, at this point. And the all-star race will be on a reverse track. To be determined. Could be Britain. I don't think it will because we're doing that in the regular season. So it's either going to be Austria or Netherlands for that race. So that'll be fun to watch. And I got a little secret. I kind of want to come back for that race. You know, maybe we'll get someone to be in the booth. I kind of want to come back for that because I don't want to toot my own horn, but past champions can show up to that event. So that will be on October 28th. That will be after COTA. And that will actually, sorry, that's November 4th. A podcast episode will be before then, on October 28th. On November 4th, the All-Star race will be complemented, my God, some guy, will be complemented by the new Hall of Fame ballot for season 21. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm telling you, we got a podcast, we got races, obviously, but I think we're doing a good job of bringing things back from the past, like the Hall of Fame, the 3-tire special, stuff that we haven't had the last couple seasons. But I think we'll have the attendance to do some of that stuff this season. I think we'll have more people than what we had the last couple seasons. Because, quite frankly, there's just a lot more hype on this game compared to the last couple of games. So it'll be good. But, you know, I will say one of the few downsides with this game, and I think Sir Charles can agree, PS4 people, you're out. F125 not compatible for the PS4, which is, I think, why Sir Charles is not starting off Season 20. And, you know, there's a couple other people that I've noticed that were regulars that didn't sign up, and I think that could be the same thing, actually. So, but you know what? Honestly, the PS5's been out for a little while now, so, you know, you gotta, at some point, you gotta get a PS5, you know? And PS5s, they aren't the way that they were a few years ago. You know, a few years, you would have to be doing, you know, you'd have to be having 3 jobs to go and get a PS5. It was that expensive, but, you know, the price has gone down a little bit. It's a little more affordable than what it was. So, I gotta take a look at this guy right here, because I think, unfortunately, this is the one guy I have not talked about yet today. Mahmoud. I have not talked about Mahmoud yet, and maybe it's because he hasn't put up much laps, actually. He has not put up a lot of laps. Mahmoud back in the Aston Martin alongside TJ. And I think Mahmoud could be up there. Could we get a Mahmoud podium this season? I would love to get Mahmoud in the booth for a podium interview. He's always up there, always consistent. We're gonna get him a handful of podiums this season. It's gonna happen. And you know, look, like, obviously we're starting to get a feel of where people are at. There's some guys that's funny. There's some guys, like some guy at the front, who are definitely making a statement right now for sure, but you really don't know until next week. This is kind of like the appetizer to the appetizer, if you will. But I think this is a good look, though, at a guy like some guy. Because there are some guys who could be like some guy and go P1. But next week we'll definitely get a more clear picture of where people are at. You got to look at the leaderboard right now. You got 8 people. 8 people? Yeah, you got 8 people on mediums, 2 people on softs, and 2 people on hards. You got 2 people that have put up 10 laps, and you got someone that has he put up a lap? J&B has put up 3 laps. So practice sessions aren't as easy to determine where the pace is at, but I think we'll get a good picture, though, at the end of the session, because if you look at the top left of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, we only have 24 minutes left. And towards the end, more people will put on soft tires. But what I want to look at, though, is that B-Tom, he has put on the soft tires. He's put up a few laps with them. But look at this. More people. As soon as I say that, everyone's putting on the soft tires and everyone's putting in hot laps. And right there, we saw GTR Lion go P1 with a 17.1. So whatever bar was raised before, we just raised it 3 notches higher. And I think we are about to see some other people do the same, as we just saw C3 come across the finish line. I think that's his first lap might be his first lap with the mediums. So what we will do is we will now transition from best detail to tire detail, and we're going to see what tires people are putting on right now. And from the looks of it, it looks like everyone is slowly getting faster, putting on the mediums, putting on the softs. And this will be, it's go time. This is go time for these drivers. I do want to watch JMB, though, because he just started his lap, and we're going to do a flyer with JMB. I'll do a little bit of a lap, corner-by-corner lap analysis with JMB as he rounded turn 1 there. DRS active into turn 2, and something to note with the battery is that it is a little bit different from F124, and you may see it here on this lap. You're definitely going to have to use the battery a little bit more strategically, I feel like. Something to note as well, and this is a huge positive, DRS not as powerful. Oh no! TJ, did you fall asleep there, bud? Oh, he was stuck on the curb, wasn't he? Oh man, and he's doing the Harlem Shake as well. Yeah, that's super unfortunate, actually. But that's what preseason is for, right? Make sure you have all your settings in play. We do allow resetting the track if you're in a situation like that, and you can, you know, if you have to reset, then that's what it's for. And little stuff like that will definitely get figured out. But JB finishing up his lap, and look at that. 1:18.452, and that is on hards. Wow. I don't even think he used that much battery either, looking at the battery. I know we kind of got sidetracked there because of TJ doing the Harlem Shake, but man, that's telling. That's all I got to say. That's pretty telling. And I think B-Tom, it's funny, he went from soft to mediums. He's kind of doing the reverse strat compared to what everyone else is doing. But you know what? We'll go back on board with J&B here as he heads through that left-right-hander, and this is the most technical section of the track by far. It's really easy to go wide, especially right there through turn 9. Now he's entering turn 11. Turn 9, 11. To turn 12. That's corner you can really get on the throttle. This one right here, I love this one. I love long sweeping corners like that where you can really just, you kind of have to be patient to get back to the throttle. We need more of those in Formula 1, but you know, everything's getting quicker. I think in 10 years from now, I don't know if these guys are going to use the brakes. I think it's just all going to be high-speed corners at some point. The way that things are going, at least, that's kind of what it's looking like. Let's see, who's on a flyer? Let's look at Toaster here. Toaster's, he's been pretty toasty so far in this session. And he is entering turns 6 and 7 right here. This may be the hardest part of the track right there, and he nailed that actually. Because if you have too much oversteer going into the left part, the left-handed part of that chicane, you hit the curbs and then it upsets the car. But if you have understeer, then you go off the track, you go into the grass, and you lose a lot of speed. So turn 6, turn 7, definitely one of those areas to where you really got to be on the money. And I like this corner. This is turn 13, by the way. Really one of those corners that you can slide. You can really slide through that corner. And Toaster is going to finish 4th. 118.3, up by 7/10. Pretty good lap there from the Toaster. Oh, you know what? So, new sound effects this season. We will have new sound effects. I think I just came up with a new idea. We're going to need a Toaster sound effect. We're going to need a Toaster sound effect. We're going to need a Lion sound effect. Stay tuned. We'll have some of those pop up throughout the season. But the reason we are at Hungary is because Hungary is not on the Season 20 schedule. So we're getting a little bit of Hungary out of the way just to say that we did it in Season 20. But you will not see this track in Season 20, and the track that we vote for the preseason race next week will not be on the Season 20 schedule. So the drivers will vote a track that is not already on the schedule. And one of those drivers will be Bats, who just went to the top of the board with a 17.1. So I think it's safe to say we'll get in the 16s. And if I don't know, maybe I'll cut my left leg off or something. But he barely got past Lion, and as a matter of fact, he got him by 0.06 of a second. And I think you're going to get to a point soon where you're going to start seeing a lot more red than yellow, and I think we're already getting to that point. If you look at the people that are left, 6 of them on reds, 5 of them on yellows. And we will be getting Kluka in here in a couple of seconds. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but ever since I moved out, there's a handful of people actually in this area that like to drive by my place, and they think they're TCR racers, if you know what I mean. But they can't be TCR racers because they have big trucks. You know, they don't have F1 race cars. But you have a couple of those people around here that are like that, so. And it looks like we will get Kluka here in the session. And he will be joining us here for the last 16 minutes of the session. And we will have 13 of the 19 full-time drivers here tonight. That's, considering that this is only a test, that's not bad. That's not bad. And I do know that there will be a couple of people that I've already talked to that will not be here for either preseason events. It's the type of thing to where we would like to have everyone here for preseason, but if it's an absolute thing of, oh, I got stuff going on, that's fine. Especially if we know who you are. Like Toaster, for example. You know, I've been on Toaster, it seems like, for the last 10 hours, but Toaster's been here in the past. We know his pace, so. And Capitan, we know his pace as well. And his teammates and his relative is on a flyer right now. We're going to go on board with him again and see what he puts up. And it looks like he is going all out here on the soft tires. Half a second up on his previous best. This could be something else. And you know what, actually? I missed Lion getting a 16.6. We'll see if he keeps that. But can JMB top it? I don't know. Because Lion, the king of the jungle there, just put up a heater of a lap. And I don't think JMB is going to get there. He does not, but he does improve. Gotta say, I'm quite impressed with some guy's pace here, considering he didn't really race much last season in TCR. And what am I? Mahmood, what is this? He didn't race much last season, so anytime that you get a guy like some guy who didn't race. He didn't race a whole lot, you know. He did race, he did show up, but he didn't race every race, you know. When you get a guy like that who goes up here and puts up a lap time like that, it kind of catches you by surprise, you know. And even someone like Toaster, who's been out for a couple seasons now, he's up here in the top 5. He's showing that he's still got the pace, you know. I'm telling you, if I were out there, I'd be in the bottom 4. It's the thing with these F1 games and racing in general, right? It's one of those things to where, yeah, you can get back into it as if you're riding a bike, but you really got to keep fine-tuning your skills, keeping up with it, because there's been some guys like B-Tom who seem to be in contention for the championship every season, but the competition has changed. People's pace changes depending on how much they race, depending on who shows up to the grid. Things are always changing, and I've got this saying that TCR seasons go by like dog years because we got 2 of them every year. Season 15 was 5 seasons ago now. But if you look on the calendar, it was actually only 2 years ago. So it's one of those things where you really gotta, showing up every season definitely keeps you up with it, but you also got to be practicing, because, you know, if you don't, then you're gonna get freight trained, right? You're gonna get freight trained after we have an ad. Oh, and Toaster got a little too toasty there on the throttle. But real quick, and I'm glad that he got in this session, because we got to talk about Kluka, or Colby Luka. He's got his full name on the leaderboard this season. I'm interested in if it stays that way. We'll keep calling him Kluka for the time being, because that's how we know him in TCR. He's going to be quick. He's going to be quick. Will he show up every week? I think so. If he's able to, you know, he'll be here if he's able to be here every week. And if he is, and if he's got the consistency, yeah, look out. And I'm really curious what kind of a lap time he'll put up here today, and then, you know, if he joins for the preseason race next week, we'll see as well. But he's gotten really fast, I'm telling you. He's always been quick, but he's gotten really fast, especially in the last 6 months or so. So you got to watch out. And depending on if we do preseason predictions on the podcast, he will be in there for me. I'll definitely give a prediction for him. But Lion trying to eclipse his chart-topping lap, and we'll see if he can do it right here. He's only got 11 minutes left, so time is a ticking. And we'll see if he can do it. Once again, if you are watching on the YouTube or Twitch side of things, feel free to say hi. And if you are interested, if you are not on the TCR grid and you're interested, we do have one full-time spot that is available right now. And we always have reserve spots that could turn into full-time spots depending on if things change with the roster. So you do have 2 weeks until round 1, July 22nd at Belgium. That will be a great race to keep an eye on. And Lion, he's giving it his all right now, down to 30% on the battery. Let's see what he can do here. This may be a better lap, and it is a 1:16.356. Good lap there by Lion. And we will see if anyone has something to say about that. Capitan up to P5. Chargers up to P4. Mercedes 3-4. What a jump there from Chargers. Mahmoud crossing the line, improves on his lap. Let's see what Colby can do here. This may be his first lap of the night, so it may take him a couple of laps, but we'll see. Watch him here through turn 1. Slight lock up there, which is easy to do in turn 1. Turn 2 gets right down beside those curbs, which is good. Up the hill into turn 4. Ooh, that was solid. And you see he went purple there. Good stuff there, getting right on the curbs. This is the tough one. Pretty well, I would say, through there. Back and forth now. Turns 8 and 9. Ooh, I thought he went wide there. Nonetheless, barely clipped the grass. This is solid. I don't know what the sector times are like, but I'm guessing that's a good sector 2 delta right there. 55 seconds through there. That wasn't smooth, but let's see what he's got in turn 14. Accelerating, saving some battery here for the straightaway. And for a first lap, that is pretty damn good. A 17.4 first lap of the night. And that is the pace that you are going to see from Kluka this season. So. And he will be called Colby Luka at some point. I'm used to calling him Kluka on here. Toaster, invalid, but puts up a 16.9. That would have put him P3. But, you know, you got to keep it all 4 wheels on the track, as he had a little bit of a greeting there with the Red Bull of Bats, who is on an outlap. And you know what? Will we see some teamwork here from these guys? They're at opposite ends of the track, but they're both on an outlap. There's not really a good place to do it here, unless if it's the front stretch. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. I think we got a Ferrari coming out of the pits, though, so we're going to have to look at D-Tom's lap and see what he does. Seafreeze turn 1. The most laps that people have put up today looks like B-Tom. Well, actually, no. Hold on. Let me see. Can you? Oh, look at those tires. This is actually cool. This is cool to see where people are at with strategy. JMB, considering he's only been here half the session, that's crazy that he's had 6 different tires on this session. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad I saw that. Yeah, some people have put up a lot of laps, you know. B-Tom, he's put in a lot. But this is go time. 6 minutes left to get your good laps in that you can get. And see what happens. Because if you're late to the party, then you're not going to get any cookies. And Seafree's not going to get any cookies regardless, as he bins it in turn 13. And he will, you know what, he could just give it another go here. Maybe scrub the grass off the tires. Or, yeah, no, he'll come in the pits. That makes sense. But oh, and Lion, he's had enough. He's done. He's satisfied with his lap. 16.3. Can BAP Plus get better? I don't like his battery situation, though. We'll see if his battery situation improves next lap, or maybe he's playing the game right. This is still a fresh game, you know. There's still a lot that needs to be learned by everybody. Little details like that, and he gets sideways. I don't know if this is going to be pole position, but he does improve to a 16.6 7th. Some guy out lap about to start. His teammate Chargers about to finish his lap. Ooh, on the grass. But B-Tom giving it all he's got, and this could be P3. It's P2 actually, and he did it on hard. I didn't even realize that. Okay, that's a major statement there by the guy that's got 17 laps. Yeah, that's really good actually. That's wow. That is something to be said about the reigning champion, the 7-time champion, B-Tom. Soon to be 50-time winner. Both of what I've just said are records in the league. Bats Plus is going to forfeit his lap. And you know what we're seeing right now is we're seeing mock qualifying runs. 4 minutes left, everyone on hards. This is when you really get to get a preview of people's ability to go out and do a perfect lap. You know, in the blink of an eye. Well, actually, you don't want to blink during qualifying. In the blink of an eye, you do your lap and then you're done. And Mahmoud's looking for maybe a better time here. He's on the mediums right now. I would love to see him get on some softs here before this is over and maybe give Wales a run for his money there in the Sauber as Mahmoud in a green color, not the same bright green color that we're seeing with Wales, but nonetheless sporting the dark green, and he's going to finish his lap. To the line, Mahmoud, not better. Maybe that was a warm-up for, maybe he had a warm-up for his warm-up. Maybe he had a warm-up lap before that lap, and that lap was his warm-up. So he was doing a warm-up for his warm-up, and now this is the real deal. And B-Tom, he may be hustling back to the pits here. Yeah, which is, if he is, kudos to him, because I see that he's up on his lap right now. Yeah, that's crazy. I think we may be seeing a 115 coming soon from B-Tom. And right now we got a Ferrari 1-2 as he does not pit actually. Wow. Maybe he likes this lap here and he's going to finish it up to the line, and he goes P2. He couldn't get P1. P2 barely behind his teammate. But then again, you know, B-Tom may be sandbagging a little bit. I'm not gonna say he is, but you never know. Kluka, 16.5. He is right there with the likes of Lion and B-Tom. Top 3, and keep in mind, he's only been here for a couple laps this session. Toaster, invalid. I think he's got time, though, to start another lap. Ha! Wales, you still got 1:40 left, bud. You never know if Mahmoud's got something up his sleeve. But, yeah, no, honestly, I'm impressed with everyone so far. The lap times, they really don't tell the story. I've seen a lot of good strategy. I've seen a lot of good consistency. I really haven't seen many spins, to be honest with you. I think this is going to be a good group of guys this season. Hopefully, we won't have too many safety cars, because I'd like to go to bed at a reasonable time, and I think everyone else does as well. But I think this is going to be a solid group of guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys have in store this season. Chargers, woo, a lot of rotation there in the corner. Getting everything that he's got there out of that Mercedes. And you know, this is preseason for the commentators as well. I'm telling you, I gotta do some vocal warm-up or something, because I've been noticing the more that I do this, I don't know if it's just me getting older, but you gotta understand, it is hard to do these broadcasts by yourself because you're basically talking to a wall for an hour and a half. It does a lot on your voice. And I think I may need to start doing some warm-ups or something because it's getting harder to get through these. Oh, and across the line, the McLaren is waiting for Bats Plus to come across, and Bats Plus just ahead of Kluka, P3 on the board, and that is J&B, who is getting a front row seat at the grid as the grid is finishing up. J&B 8th, but we didn't see a lot from him this session. So, and you know, practice doesn't always tell the story, but we'll see what he's got in store for the preseason race next week. Some guy to the line, P6, a 17 flat. Behind him, Capitan, P7, a 17.326. Seafreeze, he's invalid, but he's going to finish things up. Let's see what he's got in store. 17.7, which would have put him right around Chargers, but I guess we'll never know. And Mahmoud will finish things up. Ooh, so yeah, J&B, that sounds about right. Yeah, I can see you being up there in the 16s, but that's what practice is for, right? You make mistakes, and that's what it's for. But that will do it for the TCR preseason practice at Hungary. GTR Lion, top of the charts today. A good start to the season for him, and B-Tom, a 1-2 for Ferrari for the session. But like I said, I mean, there's some heavy hitters up here. 3rd, 4th, a lot of good lap times. And we will get, I think, a more clear picture next week as to where things are at. And, you know, next week, it's not all about pace. You know, we'll see people's driving styles. We'll see people's personality, racing each other, who's aggressive, who's not with strategy. But this was a good little appetizer for the appetizer, and I'm glad that we did this tonight. 13 of the 19 full-time drivers that you have just seen that will start for us come round 1, which will be July 22nd at Belgium. But next week, July 15th, the preseason race, we will vote on the track that we will do for that. And we will see what track that will end up being. a bit of gravel up his sleeve. That's funny, Wales. Yeah, good job, Wales. Good job, B-Tom. Good to see you guys in the comments. I know that was a practice event. We do have a qualifying and a race coming up right now. That is optional. I am not going to stream that because, quite frankly, I want to save that for next week. So we will back out of this right now, and we will sign off for the time being. Lots of TCR to come, and if you want more information, you can go to trinitycompetitiveracing.netlify.app to get more information on Season 20. It's the big 2-0, so it's going to be a good season, but Lion was top of the charts today in practice, and that will do it for preseason practice at Hungary. We will see you next week on July 15th. Have a good night.